Hello, crawlers, and welcome to a Dungeon Crawler Carl podcast. I always stumble over saying it.
I'm very surprised that you said it properly this time.
Did I? I still feel like I a little bit stumbled. Dungeon Crawler Carl is an absolutely bonkers, insane, hilarious, and surprisingly emotional audiobook series. Well, it's a book series, but we're going to be structuring this around the audiobook that also accompanies it, because I feel like that even adds more emotional weight to the experience of discussing this.
Yeah, it really feels like the audiobook series really feels like there's a collaboration going on between the author and the narrator, and it really enriches the experience, for me at least. I know that some people get a lot out of reading a book and kind of imagining it for themselves, but for me, going through the audiobook series twice now has been really incredible.
So this is single narrator, not a whole cast and crew?
Yes, single narrator, although there are instances in later books where like a guest will pop up for like one character.
I like that.
I prefer it.
Yeah.
You know, listening to a lot of audiobooks, I think I find that when there's a whole cast of people, it throws me.
Yeah, because then it's like, well, I'm listening to a radio play and not really an audiobook. But having a single narrator, but maybe having somebody else come in every so often. I read a book called The Kind Worth Killing. And there's three characters narrating their parts, and they picked three different actors for it. And it really helps separate it out. As opposed to two short story collections I read recently or listened to recently with one narrator, and that person did not change tone in between stories. And the stories didn't always have solid, definitive endings. So it was like, you take a moment to go like, wait, are we in a different story now? Yeah.
I think you're in for a treat this time because the narrator for this series is Jeff Hayes, and he is a whirlwind of just talent and chops. I mean, this guy is amazing when it comes down. He's ruined every other audiobook experience for me. He's that good.
The book is written by Matt Dinneman and, yes, narrated by Jeff Hayes. This is thus far a 7-part book series. I think the current plans are for this book series to go up to 10 books. Is that right?
Give or take, yeah.
We'll see. But for the part we're starting at right now, there are 7 books out. The most recent one, I think, just came out late last year. The audiobook for it came out in February. So what we're starting this episode at level 0, which is to say that we have not yet entered into the dungeon. Martin has not yet read the books at all.
Is that maybe level -1?
Yeah.
We're all at the top floor. We haven't, you'll see.
Oh,
you'll
okay.
see.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're about to embark on this journey, listening through the audiobook series, and we want to welcome you in to do it alongside us. But first, we also want to introduce ourselves. I'll go ahead and start. My name's Grant Davis. I have been podcasting a long time alongside both of these folks at different points in time, and I'm very excited to talk with you both about this. It's like a little book club for us.
Yeah.
I have listened to the audiobook series once. I think I started this back when you recommended it, maybe in July of last year, and like just tore through all the books really quickly. It's a very exciting series, and I'm very excited to do this with you guys.
And I'm John Rubio. We, again, like Grant said, have been podcasting on and off over the years together. Grant and I have a podcast that has been running for like 13 years now, currently called The Beerists, that I host. This one is your show, and for whatever that means.
And we both came from a show that he hosted.
Yeah. Yeah, and I got introduced to this Dungeon Crawler Carl season. I think it was like a Reddit post that I had read right before book 4 came out. And I had started listening to the first 3 books. And by the time I was done with book 3, book 4 had just dropped. And I was just barreling through the series. Like, I binged the hell out of it. And it was really great because I had started going on hikes, like these 4-mile hikes almost every day.
That's the best.
Yeah, right through the woods, and listening to this stuff was incredible. So I'm a huge fan.
You're not just a fan, you're like a zealot You're a proselytizer. You've gone around to everyone I know and told them they have to read this book. And I was like, oh man, this is like a weird cult thing. Then I read it and I'm like, I get it.
I've bought the first book probably 10 times for different people. So I've like given it out and started people up on this series because
Matt Tinneman owes you money.
I know he owes me money. No, when I first started listening to this thing, I was like up to book 4 and had nobody to talk to about it. And not only that, but very few people out in the world knew what this book series was, had ever heard of it before. So there wasn't really a place aside from the subreddit that I could discuss this with people or read other people's opinions about it. And now, people are hearing about this thing and, it got optioned for a movie or a TV series, probably a TV series. But, yeah, a lot more people are hearing about it. And it's on the New York Times bestseller list. It's on like Audible top lists and stuff. Like there's a lot of traction behind this series, a lot of momentum behind this series now.
And that brings us to you, Martin.
Oh yeah. So I'm Martin Thomas, and since everybody's giving it history, I've been podcasting way before it was even called podcasting. It was just live access television.
Yeah, you were doing a live access TV show for like 20 years before?
Oh, well, not quite 20. I guess it was more like 12, and I was on for 10 of it.
It feels like 20.
Yeah, I know, right? I started in 97. I mark it by because it was the year my daughter was born, and she just turned 27.
Wow.
Well, she'll be 28 this year. So that's how long I've been at this. And of course, different entities and some that you guys are on. Kind of miss those days. But I'm here because I don't know this book. But on Reddit, on the different subreddits, it gets recommended all the time.
All the time.
All the time. And I love audiobooks. It's
mainly by this guy.
Maybe it is mostly him. And based on the recommendations, because I get on my audiobooks from the library, I check those out from the library, and they never have any of the Dungeon Crawler Carl books, because I guess he has an exclusive deal with Audible.
Right.
But they did have his other book, Kaiju, Battlefield Surgeon, and I love that. So you guys invite me on to do this. It has me excited. I'm ready to start this.
You are in for a treat. I think on that note, what I would first like to know is, what do you think this book is actually about? Like, if you had to guess what the whole series is about, like, have you heard enough from like people's elevator pitch?
Not really, because it hasn't been much of a pitch. Just that the book is very funny. That's pretty much all I've heard, and people say it's great. Now, to look at some of the covers, I don't know. I wonder if it's like Knights of the Dinner Table. Is it comedy Dungeons and Dragons? No.
That's what I'm super curious about. Like, if you had to just like make a really big guess as to how this story plays out based on what little you know, is that what you would go with?
Well, okay, so Kaiju, it's where a guy is brought, tricked into going into a virtual reality, which is a role-playing game, except he's getting killed and tortured over and over, and he's been
like Edge of Tomorrow kind of thing.
It's real dark.
It's real dark.
Okay.
He finds himself in a playland devised by sadists and serial killers. And he has to go through a lot to get out of it, but it's rewarding.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, the tone for this is quite different than Kaiju.
Okay.
Having gone through a good half of, I think, Kaiju before I kind of fell off of that series and started up on this one. It's a very different tone. This book series kind of surprised me because I came in expecting kind of what you said, right? But got such a more deep experience out of this. Like, it was a much more fulfilling and rewarding sort of experience to me than just surface level kind of poppy Dungeons and Dragons comedy takeoff. This has a lot more to it.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to do this show every week. As I'm reading the book, going like, I'm hate reading this, but I
No.
promised I'd show up.
No, this one, it is so much fun. It's adventure. I ask you what you think, because I remember Rubio multiple times trying to pitch me on this, and you like what you're like trying to figure out how best to describe.
Oh my God. Okay. It is such a hard book to pitch to people.
Exactly.
Because it sounds insane. Like
Yeah.
it sounds, it's any scene you pick, you're like, okay, well, there's this part where, and you'll start rattling off what seem like a bunch of disjointed ideas with grossness at the middle of it, but also stupid things that only you might find funny, but it works. Somehow it all works. And somehow it's so good.
Yeah, because a lot of the things you said just sounded like such lowbrow inside jokes that I was like, I don't know if this is for me. And I'd come off of a couple other books before this. I don't want to like shout out these books unfairly, but they tonally weren't for me. They seemed a little bit too immature in their silliness. And I think there's a place for a blend of immaturity in these kind of sci-fi adventure books. And I think this book series nails it, whereas other ones haven't.
I've come across a lot of those books that you're talking about.
And other people are like, they're great. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
like,
is it?
Yeah.
I mean, here's how I would describe this book in broad terms, just comparing it to other things. This book is a blend of Ready Player One, Hunger Games, and Star Wars, in particular, Andor.
Oh,
that is how I would
okay.
describe it. It is
Okay.
It is a fight against galactic fascism, and a Ready Player One Dungeons and Dragons element to like leveling up and getting stronger.
Can I also say Running Man, like the Running Man?
And Running Man, I think that would also be perfect.
Oh, I was not expecting these descriptions
I
whatsoever.
think that's what might help sell it to some other people that might be a little bit skittish otherwise.
Well, you mentioning Andor and what was the second one you said?
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games, yeah. That's got me intrigued. You led with Ready Player One, which had me going.
Ready Player One can be the same one as like Off to the Wizard and some of these other ones where I'm like, these aren't really hitting for me.
Yeah.
And like the humor and stuff, and it's like there's like this immature, nerdy, like wish fulfillment thing that I don't like.
Yeah.
Man, I want to say like this one doesn't give wish fulfillment, but it does.
It does.
In a different way.
But it navigates
it earns it.
It navigates it in a way where it all feels earned. It all feels like there are stakes, and there's like such deep character moments throughout the series. More as the series go on, of course, but you kind of start seeing glimmers of that in the first two books. I think the third book is really where everything just kind of gets blown open. Like
you have to invest in two books before
no, it isn't even an investment.
No, it isn't. I know. But just like hearing that, like makes me go, I gotta go through how many before?
No. It's still going to entertain you the whole way through.
Well, it's funny because I keep thinking about Harry Potter, how I had no interest in reading that, but I had a friend who was like, I thought would be the last guy who would be into it. And it was like, all right, if you like it, I will. And being read by Jim Dale, I was just completely blown away. But that's another series where, yes, it's enjoyable, but with the third book, it really blows it open.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I was like, okay, this has jumped another level now.
It's like episode 4 of Lost. Not to make everything about Locke, but once John Locke starts walking around, you're just like, what is going on?
If this is your first experience with any of us in a podcast, Grant is obsessed with Lost. He has been obsessed with Lost since Lost.
I think I made it at least 10 minutes before I mentioned Lost.
I can't believe it took that long.
There's got to be a record there.
I do miss the old days now.
We've had so many arguments with him about how bad that show got. Like, there were moments where that show was great.
It was always great. I don't know what you're talking about. It was always great.
Hey, was it really?
We're going to move past this because there's one other thing I want to note before we talk about like the structure of this podcast. And that's about the audiobook. In the first book, in particular, Jeff Hayes makes
That's the narrator.
He's a narrator. He makes a character choice in how he's doing the voice of Carl, which you're going to notice right off the bat. He sounds just like, what's his name?
Patrick Warburton.
Patrick Warburton.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
He sounds 100% Patrick Warburton. He's doing Patrick Warburton.
Okay. All right.
That tapers off after the first book. It might even taper off a little bit during the first book, near the end of it. But it doesn't become so much a caricature later, but you won't be able to not hear it. Our generation won't be able to not hear that's Patrick Warburton.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's Brock Sampson. It's Putty.
Sure.
It's the Tick.
Yeah,
it's Patrick Warburton.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is just one other thing that I remember Rubio warned me about, and I was like, I'm glad you said something, because otherwise I'd be like, dude, what's going on?
It's gonna be a little bit weird. You're gonna say, oh, why is the Tick in this book? But that does taper off by the second and third book. Like he takes that little Patrick Warburton edge off of it.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about the structure of this podcast. So this is going to be a linear discussion of the audiobooks. We're going to go through at a decent pace so that we have time to digest and, check in at intervals to, like, I think really do a little bit of a good rewarding deep dive and discuss what's going on with this. And we got busy lives, so we're not just tearing through this like maybe we initially first did. Maybe that'll be a little bit too slow for you, Martin, for your first listen.
I mean, probably not. Most of the time I'm listening to books when I'm driving. But I'm planning to get back into walking, so that'll burn up a lot of time.
There you go.
We might adjust the schedule as time goes on, but I think we talked about doing 10 chapters every episode. It might go up, might go down as we move along and find our pace.
And I guess it also might vary on how much time is dedicated to chapters per book. But in the first book, the first 10 chapters is about like a quarter of the book. So we're looking at maybe doing about like a 4-part series for book 1. 10 chapters is going to be about a 3-hour listen. And our first episode will be us discussing chapters 1 through 10 of the book. Also good to note that this is going to be, at least for Martin, a spoiler-free podcast, but we will be talking about the book through that portion. So that'll be, if you haven't read the book at all, what are you doing? But we won't be talking about stuff past that with Martin on this podcast. We're probably going to set up, in fact, I already did set up, a Patreon channel where if you want to help support the show, maybe Rubio and I will step in from time to time to do some deeper dives on stuff that's currently going on in the book series.
And I think those Patreon episodes, some of them we'll mark them, but some of them might talk about the series as a whole. Some might incorporate theories and other happenings that are beyond the scope of what we've done in this main show. So we might spoil further in the Patreon stuff.
But we'll be sure to label and always let you know up to what point if you're like somewhere in the series.
Yeah, as far as this is concerned, though, as far as this main show is concerned, though, we will be just talking about what we've read up to. So as long as you're keeping up with where we are in the show, you shouldn't be spoiled.
Yeah. And we're going to use Patreon to clown on Martin for any ridiculous theories he has. He thought that was going to happen. Stuff like that. It'll be fun. We're going to focus mainly on discussing the book, reactions, some analysis, like you typically expect, but I think we're going to try and do some other little kind of playful elements that kind of mirror and mimic what the book series itself does. And we're gonna be kicking things off 1 week from when this episode comes out. So I have to decide when this episode, our episode 0, level 0, is coming out, and then 1 week after that is when we're going to start things. So just be sure to subscribe to us. You can also follow us at patreon.com/hellocrawlers. You can follow us on instagram.com/hellocrawlers, and we'll hopefully have a site up, hellocrawlers.com, eventually. Turned out that was a good name, Rubio, because that was available everywhere. I just checked out. I was like, oh, no one's taking it anywhere. Oh, also, this artwork right here, Rubio has made, he's been making some really cool Dungeon Crawler Carl artwork, and he's...
Is that what Carl looks like?
That's eventually, maybe.
Okay.
This is my interpretation of some. It'll become clear to you later.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So
It's a bit of a.
this is a spoiler.
Not really.
Not okay.
Not
okay.
really.
Okay. All right.
I mean, maybe Carl's seen some shit at a certain point.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll assume that eventually he'll have seen some shit.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think on that note, yeah, we're looking forward to this. Martin, thank you so much for joining Ruby and I. I know we're super excited.
Dude, I am psyched to be talking about this series that I love so much, but also doing this with Martin and you. I mean, this is great.
Yeah. No. I'm happy for a chance to see you guys on a regular basis.
Yes.
And the book is just extra prize.
So, in the meantime, get out there and read.
Is it really reading if it's the audiobook?
Listen.
It doesn't work. That'll make sense as you get through the book.
I'll make a new tagline. We'll work on the end tagline.
Well, okay. Well, someone said if it was Braille, you wouldn't say it wasn't reading. And that someone was Neil Gaiman. I know, but
we can't end the thing on that Neil Gaiman anything. That guy is canceled.
Doesn't mean what he said wasn't correct.
Oh my! This is the episode 0, and it's ruined.